Will the passport bro era end soon? This is actually one of the better questions that I've been asked recently. Now, I am paraphrasing because the original question from one of the viewers was that, hey, do you think feminism will come to Thailand? And I will answer both questions actually. But first, welcome to my live stream, live from Bangkok, Thailand. We're settling down here after the earthquake that happened, and that was rough. Some people still have not gotten back into their buildings. I have, but I am still recovering from the injuries I sustained running down the stairs for my life. But that's okay. Old fart problems. I will be okay. Now, so let's talk about this because, honestly, I have not thought about this until I saw this question because it is a good question. So, as you know, the passport bros, and there are very few of us, way less than you guys would have thought, but we are not really sort of running away from the feminism per se. Now, I definitely don't want to live in a country where feminism has gone as far as it did in America, and that, of course, affected the men's rights, and that is part of my channel. But the passport bros, we usually come for more traditional women in these countries. So this is more of a kind of a dating culture problem. And the concept is that, well, other countries have more traditional women, they have more traditional and family oriented cultures. So if you're tired of dealing with modern women and you don't want to date them anymore, like I don't, you should move to a country like Thailand, where I moved to, or Philippines, or anywhere in Southeast Asia, really, or South America, or Africa, or some of the Eastern European countries. There are still many places where the culture is very much intact and very much traditional. And I can confirm there are many traditional women here in Thailand and Southeast Asia. I think I visited pretty much almost all countries in Southeast Asia. I'm actually going to Africa next month, so I will report from there. But the question is, will the American culture, the Western culture, come to countries like Thailand, and essentially ruin this culture to the point where, the amazing traditional women here will turn into the westernized modern women, and then there will be nowhere else to go for men like me? And that's a good question. Now, with feminism, and specifically coming to Thailand, I think in much like with the just generally Western culture, there are two answers there. Because one, there are some countries like Kenya, where I'm going, next month, or Philippines, or, well, not too many passport bros go to India, but India is just another example of a country where English is spoken pretty much everywhere. Now, the reason the real virus, as I call it, spreads is through English language. This is why I, for example, don't date Thai women even here who do speak good English or decent English. They have already been westernized. They've already been they've dated too many foreigners who simped for them. They have listened to too many and understood too many Beyonce songs and Nicki Minaj songs. So, I see a huge difference between Thai women who speak English and who don't speak English, right? So, but in cultures like in Philippines and Kenya, there is no protection from the Western culture coming in. So I believe that those countries will definitely be the most sort of susceptible to that. The question is, will the Western culture fully consume those cultures, or what is happening, or will it actually kind of maybe infect some population, I would say, but not the others? Obviously, I don't know. I would say that, listen, if whoever speaks English, those women will be infected. However, in cultures like Thailand, and this is the reason why I specifically came a culture like this, it is much more protected because most women don't speak English. And honestly, a lot of them don't want to speak English. And if I was to date a girl who doesn't speak English, my sort of boundary would be that she never learns English. And this way, these women are protected against, all of the westernized bullshit. Now, of course, those people and women who speak English, they can still bring it into their culture. The celebrities will start imitating, the behavior of Western women. The social media, it will get translated, and so forth and so forth. So, will that take longer? Of course. Probably that will save 3 to 5 years into sort of transitioning. At the same time, this is a Buddhist country, and the Buddhist culture is very different. I love it, actually. And, how much Buddhism will still affect the dating and family values here, I don't know. I'm certainly rooting for it. I'm certainly rooting for it to be the force for Western women to kind of be protected, even if they start getting exposed to the westernized Thai women. But I think there is another question here. Much like with anything, any type of cultural changes, right? It's a pendulum. The pendulum of feminism and pendulum of female domination and dating has kind of swum all the way here. There is a good indication that it's probably is reached, as far it probably will. I don't see it getting really any worse. Can it get really any worse? So little by little, things will start actually, where was I? Going back this way. And I think that's going to happen in a couple of different ways. One, as more and more men are walking away from Western women in Western countries, where they're just home and saying, I don't want to deal with these women. I'd rather be home, developing my businesses, working out, enjoying my life, playing computer games, spending time with my friends, whatever. Or men like me who become passport bros, and just leave the country. Now, I have not published this interview, but I had an interview with Dan of Men Need to Be Heard YouTube channel and social media. Let me know in the comment section if you are familiar with his work. I follow him myself. He's been one of the inspirations behind me starting this channel. And last year, and I think even the year before, I was a guest on his YouTube channel, so you can probably check that out. And he said a very interesting thing, and I will publish this video in the next few weeks for sure. He basically said, it doesn't take that many men to walk away for the women to feel that they kind of have to change if they ever want to start dating good quality men, because majority of the men in America and now Western countries are simps, right? And it's very easy for women to get a simp. It's really, they will get attention and money from them. They can, they're spineless simps, so women can manipulate them in any way they want. But sooner or later, these are still women, and they get tired of men who need to be treated like children, who are too emotional, who can't make good decisions, who maybe not able to provide for them, and just not really men that they really want. And sooner or later, they end up dumping them. A lot of times, by the time they realize that they really want strong men and they need to be a little bit more, traditional, it's a little too late. I actually just talked to a girl today who is a Western girl living here in Thailand. I don't know why they do that. She's 25 years old. She's convinced that she can get a man like this. She can't. I can tell you that no good man ever considers, and even not good men here, never consider dating, Western women here seriously. They might tell him that or whatever, but essentially, I feel like in the last 2 years of observing this and talking to many people and many friends and social media and different groups, I don't know of any Western girl who would come here and meet her future husband here, whether it's Thai or Westerner. But she's convinced that somehow she will be fine, even though this has never really happened or happens very, very rarely. So, and then by the time she will realize that, oh crap, I should have listened to guys like Alex, and I'm now 35, and the guys that I want to date, like my age, now want to date, the next generation of 25-year-old, and it's going to be very, very painful. So, it is kind of a, it is obviously here because women like her bring this here, but at the same time, women in America will start realizing they already kind of always know that there are very few good men, right? In any culture. So let's say the percentage of good men was 10% or 20%, right? So if even half of those men walk away, that essentially is half of what was already in short supply for women, and now these women are more desperate, especially when they cross 30 and especially they cross 40 and then realize it. So I think little by little the American culture and Western culture will start kind of subside, coming down in this, and women will start realizing, maybe I should be, what do you call that thing? Oh, trad wife. Let me watch their channels and see, because this trad wives, or I know someone who's a trad wife, and look, she's happy with her husband and their kids, and they live a happy life, and I'm a miserable single woman with cats and antidepressants. And sooner or later that reality will start hitting women, and they will start softening up and then start figuring out, well, what can we do to not die alone? And by the time they realize also that it's not a good thing to be alone, because oh, I don't need no man, Beyonce told me that. I'm sorry, you're still made exactly the same way how all of the generations of women were made before you, and being alone and at some point lonely is not a good thing. But and then I think there will be celebrities who will pick it up. There will be male and then female celebrities who will start sort of being red pilled and start saying what actually quite a few women that I see say on TikTok and many others, where, hey, listen, I fucked around when I was in my 20s, when I was in my prime, and now in my 30s or 40s, and damn, I should have gotten a husband back then, because now all these guys that I want, they're either don't want to date anybody, or they've already married to good women who were smart enough to get a husband in their 20s and create a family, or dudes like Alex, who's just not even here physically anymore and definitely not coming back. I'm not coming back. So and I think slowly it will start going back where the culture will realize, okay, well, maybe we should go back to a little bit of like gender roles. And you can get on TikTok and just see just even regular everyday women starting to realize it. Older women who are now kind of got caught in that, giving advice to younger women, saying, hey, girls, please don't do what I did. While you're still young and have your beauty and attract a lot of men, make sure to choose a husband. Don't go for sims, and rob them of their, just for their attention and money, and don't screw a bunch of chads and have a good time. You can do that, but you should really wrap it up by the age of 22, 23, because that's where your prime starts, and you should really try to maximize it and get a good man, which most of the time means a man in his 30s and 40s. So that's the complication of my answer. So one, yes, the American culture and feminism is common. And by the way, almost every single Thai girl here who I know who speaks English is already just damaged. Just like I said, I don't even want to, I don't date them. And Western women here, you would think that then they would come here and realize that, oh, maybe I should change and be like those Thai women around me to get a man. They don't. It's too late. They think they're better than Thai women. They think they're this and that, and they'll still have some simps, simp for them. They'll get their hopes up, but at the end of the day, these women end up either just lonely and finding themselves, or going back to the country of origin, where obviously there's still plenty of simps to give them money and attention, and to get married and divorced later and take their money and their alimony and their child support. So that still works for them there. But here, they don't even realize that that's what they should do. So as you can see, we can't really rely on their logic until it just really just hits them, and they start telling their daughters and their the next generation, and it sips in through the culture. At the same time, men like me and channels that do red pill get more and more popularity, get more and more coverage. Like even today, I was actually like sort of pre-interviewed, I guess, for it possibly being the documentary about Passport Bros. There are more and more. This is making it into the mainstream media more and more. And then, as you probably know, I did a live stream about it last week. The mainstream media, which I guess Netflix is now, there's adolescence Netflix miniseries that essentially warns people that, if women will continue essentially bullying men physically and on social media and in person and in school and stuff like that, the violence against women will rise essentially, because some of these men won't be able to handle it. Some of these men, unfortunately, will get violent. And a lot of these men will get violent because they've been victims of domestic violence from these women. And they just finally going to start fighting back. So this is a very, you can watch Adolescence if you want. It's one of the worst, I think, cinematography pieces I've ever seen. But I can just give you a spoiler, and tell you that, this is a big warning to essentially both sides and the Western community, that essentially things might actually turn violent in some ways because some men just cannot handle it. I hope it doesn't happen, but I know it's already started to happen. So all of this is very dangerous. All of this is bad for both sexes. Both sexes are unhappy. And at the end of the day, I think the Western culture will start sort of coming down. So by the time it will start affecting countries like Thailand, I think that effect will greatly slow down, as by the time it's here, it won't be a cool thing to do in the even a Western society. Now, obviously, this is just speculation. This is sort of my prediction. Now, I do have to say that I have been right quite a few times in my previous career when I was doing my YouTube channel about electric cars, specifically when everybody's thought I was crazy, telling everybody the electric cars is going to be the future, and Tesla is going to be a big car company. But people forget that a lot. It takes a while to for people to realize if you were right, and then of course they forget by the time you have any actual realistic proof. So I think my opinion is relatively educated now. As you know, I had Paul Elam, who is one of the most prominent men's rights activists in America, on my channel. I've already published one interview, and there are two more pieces to publish over the next month or so. And he is more pessimistic because he believes that it took feminism 80 years, depends on from where you count, but decades and decades to change the society where now that women dominate Western society. So for the win. And he has a point, right? I mean, basically, looking at history is a good way to predict the future. Essentially, that's what I'm doing right now, answering this question. But I also think that there are a couple of things here in play where I think things will go a little bit faster, because each generation of women just needs to learn one time, right? Once this generation of women, like the girl that I was talking to today, who's 25, once she's 35 and still single, and now really gets less and less attention from men, and closer to 40, and she's ready to make the change and tell her younger sisters, maybe, or nieces, that, hey, don't do what I did. And a lot of these women will also probably tell them, hey, don't get these tattoos that essentially mark you as an undateable woman for a lot of good men. So once that the word of the wise starts coming down to the next generation, I think it will take much faster than a few of the generation. But look at what happened in a couple of cases. For example, remember the Budweiser boycott, when I guess Budweiser hired a trans girl or a man, I don't remember, and all of a sudden, that was very quick, where men bonded together and almost canceled that brand, right? So obviously men can bond together. Now, for some reason, they decided to do it over beer and their joint hate of trans people. I would rather have them do this, for their own men's rights, for their own mental health, and obviously for their better dating life. I feel like we can do it. I feel like it can take much faster than Paul thinks, and this is one of those things that I really, really, really think that I'm right in this case, and he is wrong, where we can do it much faster. But at the same time, don't forget, women are doing it to themselves as well. They're not happy. This girl that I talked to today, she did get dumped. So I guess she ended up dating a Thai guy, because no Western guy really wanted her. At least let me put it this way: no Western guy she wanted her, and she ended up dating a Thai guy. But I haven't heard this story very often, but I guess this Thai guy dumped her and left the country. I don't know if she was that bad of a girlfriend. I don't think so. She kind of, even though we had a very like back and forth feminism versus red pill conversation, I felt like she was still quite nice. So hopefully that's not the case. But you know, uh, it certainly is a good example of how, you know, sooner or later she will realize that, okay, well, you know, I can't have a long term relationship, and all of the men that I want, or should want, you know, would essentially you know, essentially disappear. Like, also, she told me, and I don't know how much of the stuff that she told me that was just like out of spite or whatever. But so she's 25, I'm 47, and she's like, well, I don't date men who are going after women of half their age. And it's kind of weird because I just told her that, like, my father is almost 20 years older than my mother, and they have been together for 56 years. I have a great role model of a actual family, where, you know, my mother, you know, married my father while both of them were in their prime, essentially, maybe a little bit past, but you know, and they created an amazing family, and they're still together and still in love. They still go for walks together and do a lot of things together. They together probably almost 24/7, you know. So this is this is a love story. So it's weird that I told her that, and then of course, I said, well, where's your father? And she hates her father, and there you go, right? This is like right away. It all comes down to that. If you don't have a strong male figure, role model in your life, you know, you're gonna suffer. Now, sometimes these women, and most of the time, they don't have a choice, right? The fathers can either be absent or abusive, or but most of the time nowadays, if the father is present, usually that guy is a simp. So they kind of get raised by the father that is very much a wrong role model for them. So, you know, and it's weird. Like, like literally, I was like, well, you see what happens when you're in a gender old school relationship. You get married and you stay married for pretty much definitely till, like with my parents, it will absolutely be till death do them apart, right? And this girl, you know, can find a guy, he, you know, and she thinks that, you know, you know, in her prime, right? She's 25, and she thinks that she shouldn't be dating a guy who is in his 40s or around twice of her age. Where I just literally gave her an example how that actually works and why that works, right? She's in her prime. The man in his 40s in his prime. Does she want to date another 25-year-old who you don't even know if that's a man who's going to be a man? Has he established himself? No, probably still in college and should be in college. If not, then where's his career? You know, I wasn't that you couldn't tell if I was going to make it as a good man and a good provider, and when I was 25. So, you know, it's and I talked to her like almost all day today, and just you just can't. Their brains, you know. But one day that will probably change. Yes, Mr. R. First of all, welcome to my live stream. A Thai guy fled his own country. Yes, that is comedy, and this thing is, it is funny, but it's really sad, right? I mean, this girl really doesn't even understand that, you know, that she is like, no, she's been here for what I remember. I'm trying to remember. She said 3 years, right? 3 years. Beautiful girl, by the way, and nothing to show for. Beautiful girl in her prime, nothing to show for, and you know, and just complete lack of understanding of what needs to be done. And even when it's being presented to her, just hit in a head, she still goes like, no, I know what I'm doing, and I'm very happy. Yes, I'm very happy. You know, really? Weren't you saying you were happy 3 weeks ago when you're still with your boyfriend, and now you're still happy when he dumped you? Like, either you're stupid or you think I'm stupid. But I sure know this is not the reality, right? So it is comedy, but it's also kind of sad, right? So, but the main topic is will this essentially change Thailand? Will this change the countries that are traditional, all of this culture? And like I said, I hope And I think there's a pretty good chance that not enough, not enough. Uh, you know, and I've talked to you guys about some of the caveats of the traditional cultures that I kind of would like that they would change a little bit towards a Western culture. For example, traditional women, you know, they are they are a little naive. They do get raised on these fairy tales and these Thai dramas or Filipino whatever dramas, and they truly do believe that they're little princesses, but not the same way how Western women, they think they're princesses because there's a bunch of simps telling them that, right? I would believe that too if somebody would keep saying this and throwing money at me with Cash App. But they really are so pure, and they really are raised on these stories and concepts of true love and pure love and all of that stuff. Which is not enough. Love is not enough to have a real relationship, especially long lasting. But at the same time, these women are that pure where they really do believe in that, and so you kind of have to say, listen, you kind of have to kind of make a bit of a step into reality and realize that you're not a princess. Especially, I don't think princesses wear mom jeans and Crocs, which is like every single girl in Southeast Asia wears that, and I actually even see it on Western women here. It's just like, wow. It is. I never understand this. It's like these women, like, do they like they look at the mirror and they go like, how can I be the most unfuckable today for no man wanting to approach me? Oh, I know. Let's do it, right? So now Mr. Rock comments and says, well, I can basically predict her future OnlyFans. Well, no. No. I mean, from what I gather, this girl's probably not going to do OnlyFans. Well, because that's going to get saturated, and a lot of guys will probably stop subscribing sooner or later, just because more and more men will realize how disgusting they are to themselves when they are sending money to this one girl. I mean, Pornhub is free. And if you're paying a girl, that specific girl will smile specifically at you or do whatever it is that you're paying her to do, more and more men, I hope, realize how pathetic it is, and they'll be disgusted by them. It's kind of like those men that see a belly in their mirror and is like one day like, oh, I can't do this anymore, and they go to the gym and they get on a diet and get slim. I think a lot of men will have that that sort of epiphany with OnlyFans. But no, I think she's just going to be more of a, what normally happens to these girls. They will try this and try that, and they'll say, well, I'm going to find myself in my 20. Okay, fine. Well, now I'm just going to do my career. Okay, fine. Well, but and at some point, they will be like, oh, well, my therapist says that maybe I should get on antidepressants because this is depressing. But of course, as modern women, they'll never take responsibility for their actions or choices or words or whatever. Taking responsibility is just not their thing. And the thing is, they will probably slowly go into oblivion, right? Yes, they'll probably do it. They'll try dating. They'll try settling. They will get used by guys who are saying, listen, I know you want me as a potential mate, but I am now hunting for the 25-year-old, but I'll screw you a couple of times. And these women will be like, all right, at least I'll get laid, And then at some point it will be just too late. It's just going to be too late. They will adopt a cat or a dog. Their medication is going to be relatively okay by then, and that's it. And then they'll just die alone. And it is this is why I call it the real virus, because this is a real pandemic. I mean, look at Japan. And I've gone to Japan, and I can, as soon as I stepped outside from the airport, I could just feel this just depressive, wall between men and women. And it's kind of funny. I remember going through some of the areas where they have local hookers, and even the way hookers look and try to get your attention is just so pathetically asexual that you go like, oh, even hookers here don't even know what being sexy is, but look at the rest of the women. And I gotta tell you, I have never been this sort of disappointed in women in general than I've been in Japan, and there will be more and more countries to follow, unfortunately. And I just really hope that I, for example, would be able to kind of navigate that in you know, getting married is just no longer really my goal, the only goal. But if I do want to do it again at some point, then I would still have a chance. But all right, Mr. R says it might take a generation or two, but it will happen. The internet is a powerful drug. Yeah, well, the most powerful drug for women is attention, right, and then money. But so yes, it might take a generation. But like, for example, there are women now, right? Because I think this whole bullshit started about 5 years ago, right? So another 2, 3, 4, 5 years, these women will start turning into and you can see some of them already on the internet, on TikTok, just kind of crying about it, as they should. Um, I think this will go mainstream. I think this just general war between sexes will go mainstream. I think there will be more specials about it, more movies about it. Like, for example, I would love a movie about what would happen if men go on strike in America for 24 hours. Like, what happened, right? Uh, and what will happen is women will appreciate men very quickly all of a sudden. So a movie about that, or a TV series about that, that would get popular, for example, may just be um, one of the turning points, in American culture. Uh, leave my bell out of this discussion. Wait, what did I say? A bell? Sorry, I completely missed that. All right, you're not thinking of the fact OnlyFans has an endless supply of men, and a bro is born every day in every country, right? But you have to understand that I think the younger generation of men actually look at sex as less of an important thing than it was for our generation. And I can see it everywhere. I mean, even some of my younger friends, or people who I know who are younger, they're like 19, 20, 21, guys, they go like, yeah, it's just not a priority. I'd rather develop my career. And I think it's because they're already being born into this bullshit culture where they see how little women offer, and they just opt out for something else. Where men like me, we still remember how amazing traditional women used to be in America, and we're still craving it. But these young guys go like, wait, I'm supposed to like this? Yeah, I'm good, guys. I'm good. And they pass on it. So no, I think a lot of younger men will probably reject all of this altogether, as they just kind of entering the dating world as adults. And men who are, sending money and subscribing to OnlyFans will get red pilled one by one, a good number of them, and will hopefully just stop doing that. Now, what also is going to happen is AI. AI is getting kind of good. There are websites already. I should probably research a little bit more this, but you can essentially create an quite realistic avatar with AI of a girl, and you can kind of make her do whatever you want to do, even things that OnlyFans girls won't do, right? So I think OnlyFans girls will also just get replaced by AI. It's relatively simple now. Like the other day, me and my friend were talking about this one girl who, he thought that she was cute, but she would be cuter if she lost weight. And so I was like, well, let's take her pictures and see what she would look like if she would lose her weight. And the AI generated that girl video of her based on those pictures, except for skinnier, right? Like we literally took a girl he met in person, or whatever, friended her on Instagram, whatever, took some pictures, and now we were able to generate a video of this virtual skinnier version of this girl, right? And you can do so many more things. So I think OnlyFans is there. It's probably, I'm not really sure if that's really going to be a thing. Okay, you need to go to Africa and just get it out of your system. Yes, there is no. I'm not hiding the fact that I am the most attracted to Black women. I've dated pretty much Black women almost exclusively in America, and there are none of them here that are free. So I am going to Kenya next month. I might also stop by Ethiopia. It depends on what kind of flight I get. Every time I get a flight with a layover, I never just do a layover. I'm like, hey, listen, if my plane landed in the new country, why would I get on another plane without checking this country out for 2 or 3 days? I never understand when people do that. So if I fly Ethiopian Airlines and they will probably stop at their hub in Ethiopia. I forgot their capital's name, but I'll probably do that. But Kenya was in top 5 or 6 list of countries that I was on my list to consider when I was leaving America. Um, Narrowly lost to Thailand, but yes, I want to go there. I actually already changed my location in one of the apps. Okay, Cupid, you can change that. And I'm already talking to some of the Kenyan women, and I can see how I can. Grass is always greener on the other side, right? So I can see how there might already be problems there, same type of problems I'm experiencing in Southeast Asia. And, they do speak English. So I've already noticed that one girl was saying, well, I want to be friends first. And I was like, well, let me tell you why it's so fucking dumb. You'll never get a good man if you want to be friends first. What kind of fucking idiot and a loser would do friends first, Anyway, so and she was like, well, I think I'm going to be okay. I was like, okay, you won't be, but okay, sure. Yeah, so I'm very curious to see, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna stick around there for a little bit, and if I find a girl or two that I think there might be some future with, that I'll stick around there probably for 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks tops, because I have put a lot of effort into learning Thai, and if whenever I'm in a different country not speaking Thai, it does kind of start disappearing from my brain, and I don't want to make a big step back. But I would not mind sticking around there for a little bit, and then hopefully bringing her to Thailand and see maybe how we can mash. I don't like the idea of yanking a girl out of her support system. So we're going to have to talk about it and see what her situation is. But, I am definitely going there to see if, this is a possibility. Let's see. Oh, Bailey, no, okay. Oh, don't talk. Okay, got it. Maybe if we went on strike, I would have to be done for at least a pay period, like a 2-week first job. No. If all men go on strike, we're talking about firefighters, police officers, people in the military, people who are taking care of the, electricity, and people who collect garbage. You think women collect our garbage? No. It's men on those trucks at fucking 5 a.m. who do that. The infrastructure will crumble so fucking fast, you won't even need those 24 hours, okay? Women will be begging us to come back to work and protect themselves, right? So, and even if male criminals would stay home, right, which I don't think they will, and let the few female cops protect the rest of the women from the violence, right? But there's plenty of violent females. I don't think people realize how violent females are really when they're loud, and I'm just about to actually make a video about it. So yeah, no, we don't need 2 weeks pay period. Are you kidding me? No, we need a few hours. 24 hours is actually quite generous. And listen, honestly, I hope this never happens, because it will crumble a country, right, and a culture. But I hope that just announcing it and bringing an attention to it, and maybe having a movie about it, that's all we will take for women to start, respecting us, because one of the first videos I've done on this channel was about The View, the ladies on The View, Joy Banhart, and it was another fucking piece of shit woman. She's also CNN contributor. I forget her name, but they were basically bashing men on national television and saying how useless men are, while sitting in a studio where it was built and maintained by men, at the pleasure of being safe because of the security and police officers mainly being men, being secured in the United States because our army is mainly men, and of course many camera people and staff members and producers were also men, making it possible for her to bash men. And then they both bashed, or I think one of them bashed her husband. And guess what? That fucking simp I guarantee you that he did not divorce her. She came home after humiliating him on the national television, and he took it like a little bitch and said thank you, and off they went back into their relationship. So it's it is what it is. I would check out Kenya, Ethiopia as a south. Yeah, well, listen, I have to say, I'm an old fart. I don't like flying economy on a long distance. And business class is not cheap. So I can't be just flying around everywhere. And plus, I do have a life here. For me to travel, I have to One, have be jet lagged twice and risk getting sick. I have to, make a step back in learning Thai, which is a lot of effort already. I have to stop exercising because I exercise by playing soccer. I have to stop a lot of activities that I do on a regular basis here. I have to usually eat like shit in other countries because I don't really know the food, and sometimes it's easier to just, oh, McDonald's, okay, I can. So, and then I'm going to have to. So it's not that easy to travel, right? But if I have a layover already, like in Ethiopia or any other country in Africa, I will probably stop by and say hi. Anthony says, if you go to Ethiopia, make sure to stop by the beautiful Armenian church built inside a cave. Oh, okay, all right, point taken. Interesting. I just discovered there was a church down the street from me, and actually one of the Thai people who I know in my neighborhood, she's actually Christian. It's very unusual here. Okay, Mr. R, you're going to have to explain this one. What do you mean? Tell me when you lose your discipline, my brother. Uh, let me know what that means. I was thinking about just us random dudes. Yeah, no, 40, no, not 40 hours, 24 hours. Dude, I'm telling you, 24 hours. Imagine 24 hours where men are not providing the services and protecting women and making sure the electricity is flowing into their apartments and they're either too cold or too hot or whatever. And dude, it doesn't, I mean, the society depends on men so much that even a few men, not even every man, leaving their jobs that are essential will crumble this economy. It's not going to happen if women, do the same thing. And I think there was a country who actually did this. They did an experiment where women didn't show up for work. And yes, some of the professions like nursing is important, but if an HR manager doesn't show up to a job and a few marketing campaigns get delayed, not a big deal. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it's very, very important. Let's see what else. It's easy for me to spend your money, quite easy indeed. Yeah, that's right. You can play soccer in Kenya if you wanted to, but keep in mind that Nairobi is over a mile high in the air. I did not know that, but I think I'm still healthy enough. I mean, especially I know I have paperwork to prove it. Here in Southeast Asia, you do annual checkups that are so thorough, so thorough. You get like a report this thick about everything that's going on in your body. The tests take an entire day. The screens, the tests, the blood tests, all kinds of stuff. They stick every single camera and a device in every single hole you have, and then. So I'm pretty healthy, luckily. So yes, and I'm not taking my soccer shoes in Kenya. And the last thing I want to do is get hurt accidentally. I'm usually pretty careful when I'm in other countries. You know what I mean? But point taken. By discipline, I mean the power of attraction. I'm trying to keep it my lose my the power of attraction, meaning when I'm going to be losing my looks. Well, I think I am already kind of some ways losing my looks. Well, maybe in another few years because I still have most of my hair, and I will do one more hair transplant surgery. I already did one, so that will be delayed. And I haven't even done anything with my face. I mean, I know a lot of my friends like they do this skin replenishing thing, and so I mean, there's a few ways. And I do play soccer, so and I just got a new diet, which made me I'm in the best shape I've ever been in terms of my weight. I have no belly whatsoever. I've never had a belly, but now it's like I actually have abs. Not a six pack, but like pretty flat belly. So that's for the first time in a long time. So overall, I think it will be another 5, maybe even 10 years until I start losing like physical attraction, which, yeah, and that's why that's why I would prefer, if I'm going to get a wife, it should be in the next 5 to 10 years. But don't forget, physical attractiveness is not everything for a man. We can be a 5 or 6 and make up with our personality and confidence and income and many other things all the way to 7 or 8 easily, right? So unlike women, who are essentially their biggest value for men in a romantic situation is their beauty and youth. So I'm not worried about that yet, but I know it's common and it's fine. I understand. I feel like I've done a lot. Well, once again, you're saying that you meant something else, but okay, let me switch to that. Hi from Poland, says Big Lance. Your channel is going to be huge. Love your message. Thank you, but will it? right? I mean, when I was doing electric cars, I did it from the very beginning, and I thought my channel would be huge as well. But there are always nuances, right? There are always nuances. I feel like I am not as cutting edge and exciting as maybe like whatever podcasts and Fresh and Fit and Andrew Tate and stuff like that. But I also don't want to be. I'm actually have been disappointed in pretty much everybody who I just mentioned, and then also Pearly Things. I was disappointed in her recently. That's why I think there's actually space for my channel in this kind of hole that they've left for all of us. I think a lot of guys got disappointed with like Myron going all Hitler, and I think whatever podcast, the biggest problem is Andrew, that guy that's on there a lot. He's not the worst, but still, and of course Andrew Tate has just completely gone, completely crazy. But I would be interesting to find out, Lance. Are things getting pretty bad in Poland? Because Poland is a more of a traditional country, Eastern European country. I've never been there. I did go to Czech Republic, and I'm originally from Russia, um, so I'm going to assume that the problem is similar, but not as bad as in America. I would be interested to find out. Mr. Ross says, no, I mean, when you see the big, beautiful booty right in front of you every day and everywhere. Yeah, listen, I'm not going to lie. I definitely, black women have definitely got that market cornered, and I miss that dearly. I miss it dearly. But there's also other things that I appreciate about black women. I do like dark skin, and I do like large, kind of thick lips. At the same time, guys, don't be surprised if one day I'll be like, yeah, I found an amazing Thai woman with thin lips and tiny little booty. It's a good woman is a good woman, and I don't want to be like, well, just I want a perfect 10 in terms of looks, but I'm going to compromise on the personality and everything else. I'd rather go the other way around. If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, right? I actually just did a video about that where, the most beautiful women are now so corrupted no matter where they live in the world, right? Because as soon as they have, one of these in their hands and the internet connection and an IG account or a dating service account, dating app account, they a lot of times know their little worth in money, because that's what a lot of them get from Western men. And don't take my word for it. Go and look at on TikTok. Look at Thai women who are broadcasting right now on TikTok, and look at all of the simps, American simps, European simps, in the comment section, giving them a compliment, sending the roses, sending the money. These girls are usually gone. It is very difficult to find a beautiful girl who will also not be, a hoe by one way or another. So generally speaking, my advice would be is, find a 6 or a 7 and get her to a 7 or an 8. Like here we have tons of women who just need some makeup, gym membership, and different set of clothes, and lesson in how to wear heels, and they can go from like a 5 to a 7, 6 to an 8. I think that's the key. I think that is the key, rather than going for an 8. It's kind of like, you can pay a lot of money for a house that's been remodeled, or you can buy a fixer upper for less money, spend some money to fix it up the way you want it, and it's probably going to be a better deal. So that's what I would suggest. But so I am not going to be going after just looks. The way she is with men, the way how she is as a partner and a girlfriend is much more important. Okay, Lance says, well, I already did that one, but I thought you replied again. Channels that tell the truth about people are not really that popular, but you're a good dude. I appreciate good people. I appreciate it, Mr. R. And that's what happened to my electric car channel, right? As I started criticizing the brands that were, also my sponsors, and of course Tesla, that has this army of people to try to cancel anybody who says anything negative about Tesla. It became almost impossible to do it. And my electric car channel was based on exciting, good electric car news. And as you probably know, there are no more exciting electric car news unless it's in China. But my audience is American. They don't care about Chinese cars because they're not going to drive them anytime soon. Definitely not now. So yeah, it is what it is. So, all right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. I know I was doing it every Tuesday night, which is Tuesday afternoon, but I had to do it on Monday and especially this week, because tomorrow I am traveling to this little exotic island with some really beautiful beaches, only a few hours away, and I do need to finish some things. And tomorrow I will be on the beach, so I won't be able to broadcast because I'm not taking my whole setup, obviously. But I'm glad you joined me. We had a pretty decent conversation today. Thanks for everybody participating. What, 3 people participated? That's not bad. It's better than last week, where it was just me, But that's all right. Thanks for watching, guys. Definitely, I'm gonna try to maybe continuously do it on Monday nights, which is Monday afternoon. But we'll figure it out. I definitely am committed to doing this every week. And if you miss it, then they get reposted, and so it's you can still watch it and comment. Mr. Ross says, I can't compete with a sim. No, you can't. That's the thing. That's what a lot of guys don't understand. You cannot compete with a sim. This is why when I move to Southeast Asia, I will check out Cambodia. It seems a lot more normal than Thailand. I mean, here's the thing. I think the problem is the same everywhere, right? Cambodia, I love Cambodia. I really, and I actually met a wonderful girl there. We're still in touch. She's not the right field for me in terms of a potential wife, because she does have a child, but also she doesn't speak any English and she doesn't speak any Thai. And I'm not learning another language. That's it. Thai is the last language I'm going to learn. It's so freaking difficult. And I'm relatively close to where I can say, oh, okay, guys, I speak Thai. I now speak Thai. So in another year or so, I will be able to say that. So I'm 2 years in a 4-year journey to learn this language. So I don't want to start over. But the problem with Cambodia is that it's a wonderful country, but it's just very poor. So the quality of it's not as safe as Thailand, right? And not just for you, but for whoever you choose as your significant other. And it is a concern, right? That's why I would never recommend like Brazil, for example, as a country to go to as a passport bro. Beautiful women, but the chances of, you dating one and her not getting, sort of attacked in one way or another at some point is not as low as you would prefer. So Cambodia, it's pretty. I felt safe, but even locals told me like, hey, don't walk around by yourself at night. Where here, I do walk around by myself at night all the time, and no one ever told me otherwise, because that would be silly here. So in Cambodia, that's not the case. Also, healthcare. You want to have healthcare for you, for her. If you're going to take, have kids, then for sure for that, right? We have one of the best hospitals in Southeast Asia here in Bangkok and in Thailand in general. In Cambodia, not so much, right? But I do know that some people live there. It is less foreigners, and women are wonderful, and I think I've met quite a few cute girls right away. I'm talking about Phnom Penh. That's where I spend my time. I might go back. I might go back. I really enjoyed my time there. But that's why I have my course. Oh crap! I'm such a bad businessman. I have not even mentioned my course, but I have my course right at themillionmanproject.com. For those of you who do want to move out of America or out of the any Western country, this is not that simple. A lot of guys make so many mistakes, where they're logistical mistakes, where they get locked out of their money in America, or because they change their phone number or discontinue the service, can log in through the two-factor authentication, and they end up like, literally, I know some guys who ended up with like no money here. So and all the way to like which country you should pick, why like just because the women are cuter or better or whatever, that's not a good reason. I feel like I chose a country with probably not, like, Thai women are not exactly my type, but I think this is the country to live in, and it's very important to me. So it is important. So check out my it's in the description of every video. Check out my channel. Check out my website, themillionmanproject.com, and just at least go look through the table of contents. That's free there, and you will see how many things you need to consider. And one of them is obviously healthcare and safety and many other things. So but do check out other countries. There's a whole chapter in my class about, yes, go and do a dry run, go to different countries, don't be a fucking tourist, Try to live a relatively normal life, interact with locals and not other tourists. Don't go to fucking Starbucks. Go to the hole in the wall coffee shop where everybody else goes in the neighborhood. Don't stay at a hotel, stay at the Airbnb and all of that stuff. So that's all part of my class, because a lot of guys move here and have either legal problems with their visas, money problems with income problems, or women problems, where they show up here, they bring themselves to these countries and then realize, oh shit, I'm getting the same results. Well, of course, just because it's a different country, your methods of cold approaches and going to Starbucks and still using Tinder and Bumble are going to give you the same results as anywhere else. So yeah, and Thailand is very safe. And like I said, you're right, Cambodia is not bad, right? Like you can always figure out. And this is coming from a guy who lived in Oakland, California, because I wanted to be among many, many beautiful black women. Though I did carry a gun with me. I was a licensed gun holder, a carrier in California, in many other states. So, but nevertheless, right? You figure out, like even in Kenya, I already talked to a bunch of people, and in like Nairobi, for example, they're like, listen, if you're not being an idiot, if you know where to go and where not to go, and what looks like a danger and what isn't, and if you're aware and all of that stuff, then you'll be okay. But if you're getting drunk, if you're getting in fights with people, you bring your stupid fucking American personality there, yeah, you're probably going to get in some trouble. So, I know Phnom Penh, they will take your phone, but I would like a CM Reap. But I would like a CM Reap. What do you mean they will take your phone? Yeah, listen, here's another thing. It's like, you don't walk around like this. Don't walk around like this, like when someone's going to snatch it. You know what I mean? Like, and by the way, it's not like Thai people or Colombian people don't get, robbed in their own countries. They do. But if you're a tourist, just don't be a dumb tourist, and that's why I have my course. And I think my course, I mean, I priced it at $200, but honestly, I will save so much money. Of someone who's actually wants to move to another country, I will save you so much money with this course. You in some ways you won't even know that I saved you money, because you didn't make a mistake of shutting yourself out from your money, or you didn't make a mistake of getting a stupid apartment for twice as much, where you could have rented an apartment somewhere where it's much more reasonable and stuff like that. So, or you continue paying $100 for your stupid T-Mobile American number just to have that number when you could port it, and pay zero. So yeah. All right, guys. Well, listen, this has been fun. I'm going to start packing. I'm excited to go and see some beautiful beaches. Which I mean, I did go to Bali, so I have seen some beaches that are nice. But I would like to see some in Thailand where I can order my drink in Thai. So, all right. Well, thanks for hanging out. It was fun, and I will see you guys next week.